hopefully we guys would be sitting here and decoding, the importance, the risk, the standard operating protocols around wallets and transactions. So that's what we'll be doing today. So wallets are, the absolute basic need to know information for anyone wanting to explore Web3. Anyone it's absolutely important like that. So I'm just going to quickly do like a screen share. I hope this is visible to everyone. Is it? Anshika, you can unmute and please let me know.
Hi, Rohan.
Hi, is this visible to you right now?
Yes. Good to go.
Is this like flickering also? Because on my side, it's a little flickering.
Yeah, Abhi, Abhi, I can see. Yes, it is.
It's
it flickered. Actually, now we are able to see. Again, it's gone.
Exactly. I mean, it keeps flickering. Yeah. Is it stable now?
Yeah, it is.
So guys, like I said, this is going to be a session about wallets. Hopefully I will be able to give you a few pointers about what to do, how to do it. So first of all, let's just, try and decode what your physical wallet actually is. Hopefully that would help you draw parallels with a digital wallet, and maybe that would simplify things for all of us today. So what exactly is your physical wallet? Well, that depends on what the contents of your wallet are. So, of course, you put cash in your wallet. You might have multiple currencies. In my wallet, I've got some INR. I've got some dirhams. I've got some Nepali rupees as well. When I go out into the market over here, obviously, nobody's going to take the Nepali rupees. Maybe if I get lucky, somebody might take a dirham for goods and services. But INR is something, because I'm in India, everyone's going to take. There are going to be a bunch of debit cards. Now, these debit cards are essentially payment networks. You could have a Visa debit card. You could have a MasterCard debit card. You could have an international debit card from your bank that would allow you to make purchases on a debit card abroad. That's exactly what I also have in my wallet. Then you have credit cards. Again, credit cards are part of payment network. And just like your debit cards, even credit cards have various networks, like there's MasterCard, there's American Express, so on and so forth. Of course, my wallet has a MetroCard. It allows me easy access to, the trains in the city from any of the transit points. Of course, there's my driver's license there. That's my basic identification. Any place I'm going, if the cops are going to stop somewhere. If I'm entering a nightclub, they need to check for age. If somebody's going to ask me that, driver's license is what you give them. Then, of course, quite a few people have their Diners Club cards, membership cards, some discount cards. If you go into a mall, into a particular store, you get basic discounts if you can prove that you're part of certain clubs. So, community access and rewards, that's the function of these things. And then if you have old receipts and random papers, I'm sorry, you're psychotic. Because I used to have this phase where, I'd have like chunks of papers in my wallet, which actually didn't serve any purpose. There were old transactions for stuff maybe I bought, and I thought I'll return it. So I saved the receipt in my wallet, and it's been like a couple of years. It's still there. So these are like your basic contents that make up your wallet. Each of these items, they have various implications. Currencies is a bare instrument for final settlement. So similarly, that's how your, digital wallet also works. Staying over here for another minute. So when you have all these things in your wallet and you're going around town, you go to different restaurants and bars and everything. Your wallet basically gives you access. You go to a school, you can pay for education. You go to a hospital, you can pay for healthcare. You go to a movie store, you can hire a DVD. I guess nobody does that anymore. But yeah, essentially you understand, you go anywhere, your wallet is what's giving you access, whether it's food, sports, films, entertainment, anything. This is exactly what digital wallet would also give you. So moving ahead, when you're talking about digital wallets, you can have a hot wallet or a cold wallet. This is a basic, classification. A hot wallet, it's got internet connectivity. Obviously, it's hot, it's connected to the internet. It's prone to cyber attacks. I mean, if you're online, then, you might have this published on your websites. I mean, if it's a business you're running and it's a business wallet, then of course you have mentions of it on various social media channels on your official website. So a hacker could potentially go to your checkout page and replace your wallet address with this. That's a clear-cut issue. Then these wallets also market reactive. If you're holding an exchange wallet and something bad happens, it gets hacked, they run out of liquidity, they might have to freeze your funds and not allow you to take it out. So there you go. It's the market is dictating a few terms. Safety, security, that's something you have to check out. Daily transactions. If you regularly, if you're buying groceries and other stuff using crypto, then you need to have it in a particular place where you can easily spend it. You need to have it in particular denominations, particular currencies which are readily accepted everywhere. So essentially, this sort of a wallet is suitable for everyday use, people wanting to publish NFTs, to pay for gas fees. If you want to pay off a few friends in the States, you can pay for films. You can pay for movie tickets when you go to AMC theaters using your wallet. So it would be beneficial if you have a hot wallet. Then, of course, on the other side of the spectrum, you have cold wallets. This is something, everyone needs to have in case they're holding quite a bit of crypto. There's a particular threshold. If you're above that threshold and the amount of assets you're holding, then it's better to, have self-custody on it. So it's offline. Because it's offline, there's obviously, it's a little bit more secure. But again, then it's prone to old school attacks. Somebody could hit you over the head and run away with your cold wallet, or he could coerce you into giving them the seed phrase. But essentially, what a cold wallet is good for is to essentially hold for a longer period of time. If you would have bought Bitcoin, say back in 2015, 2016, congratulations, you're one of the lucky ones. But the best place to hold that amount of crypto would have been a cold one. So it's a little more secure through the years. You could, have a lot of hot wallets that you could use that might give you the same level of service. But if the website shuts down, the company goes down under, there are lots of risks. So over a longer period of time, you guys would definitely be better off holding these digital assets in the cold one. Moving a little further from hot and cold, you could get hardware wallets. Now, hardware wallets are devices that individually handle public address and keys. As you can see with the photographs, they essentially look like pen drives, thumb drives, USB drives. Some of the better ones, they have biometric scanners on them. So, your thumb and your fingers, you could use them instead of having seed phrases to access your crypto. But then again, these things are prone to old school attacks. Like I said, cold wallets. Somebody could hit you over the head and then get your. So I'm sorry I keep on going back to that, but that's the simplest. So yeah, somebody could coerce you into giving them your thumbprint, or they could lift up this data from maybe your phone or various other places. But again, these are very real risks. These things happen. They have happened. If you're holding a substantial amount of crypto, people on the blockchain can see your addresses. this is something that can happen. It is a possibility, and it's happened to people before. Moving ahead from hardware wallets, you've got mobile, desktop, laptop wallets. These are installable software packs available for operating systems, and these are becoming serious with time. Antivirus is required because a system connected to the internet poses fundamental security risks. Instead of keeping crypto on an exchange, desktop wallets for Bitcoins should be used. They can be used. Also, if you're a part of various blockchains and your resources, your computers, your hard drives, your processors, if you've put it on the network as a node for various operations to be executed on your systems, you get rewarded for something like that. So if you're getting rewarded for something like that, most probably those wallets, those Golem tokens, those Bitcoins, those Ethereums that you mine would be on the wallet that you have on that particular station. So these wallets also have great functionality. They are relatively safer. But then again, you got to take a decision about this yourself. If you're running a company and you've got $500,000, $5 million, $50,000, do you want to keep it in a hot wallet, in a cold wallet? I mean, there are a lot of risk factors. I can't really tell you where to keep it. You need to figure out those kind of risk factors yourself, what kind of insurance you have on what kind of a wallet ecosystem. If you have institutional funds on a trusted exchange like Binance, that would be one of the best ways to go, for a lot of corporates and a lot of companies, because there's insurance on it. So that's a good wallet to have for a company, but it's very difficult to have as well because there are lots of KYC requirements and everything. But if you're an artist, if you're an NFT artist, maybe one of these, hot wallets somewhere on the internet might be a much better way to handle things. That's exactly what I'm going on now. So web wallets, as the name suggests, these wallets are accessed by internet browsers. The private keys are held in some web wallet and are prone to DDoS attacks. They can be hosted or non-hosted. Non-hosted is preferred as funds are always in control. They are the least secure. They are not the same as hot wallets, but they are perfect. They are ideal for small investments, quick transactions. 99% of the people buying most of these shit coins are doing it on MetaMask, Trust, and so on and so forth. And these are, by the way, one of the most, convenient wallets to keep because they're right there. They're on your browser as an extension. So anytime you go to a website, a Web3 enabled website, you can have you can connect to that website straight from your MetaMask wallet. So it's always a good idea to have a few $100s, few $1,000s, depending on how much you can keep on your MetaMask wallets, because, like I said, or your Trust wallet, because, like I said, it's easy to move these things around. So I believe I can see there's some questions over here. I'd just like to go through the presentation and then maybe come back to these kind of questions, if that's okay. Moving ahead. This is a little old school. You've got paper wallets. As you can see, this one right here, you can scan this. These things are like essentially prepaid cards. It's a physically printed QR code from wallet. Some wallets allow downloading the codes to generate a new address offline. They're not prone to hacks, but the number of flaws has made them dangerous. A major flaw is not being able to send partial funds. Then thus it can't be reused. Besides this, currently in a lot of jurisdictions where government has some severe levels of regulations against crypto, prepaid crypto cards are, sort of really filling in those gaps right now, where on-ramping facilities have been an issue. So now, initially, this is what we saw. These were the elements of your physical wallet, and you can see the implications of each one of them. And after all this, we get to, various currencies that you can hold in a wallet and what they actually mean. So if you've got some Bitcoin in any one of your wallets, that's a fair instrument for fund settlement. In the crypto world, Bitcoin is the exact opposite for fiat currency. It can be used for final settlements. It's got many other uses, but it's solely there for transactions. Then you've got ETH. ETH is a payment network. If you've got some Ethereum lying around, there's a lot of publishing work that you can do. You can stake it in various places. Essentially, ETH and BNB, these blockchains, payment networks like Visa and MasterCard. For example, if you're on a Binance exchange and you have a trust wallet, which is again on the Binance Smart Chain. So moving digital assets between these two wallets, the trust wallet is self-custodial wallet, whereas the Binance exchange obviously is it's not self-custodial. It's obviously with a third party. But since both of them on the Binance Smart Chain, sending assets between these two networks is very efficient. So it doesn't cost you anything. So in case you need to pay somebody, in a different country in BNB, if I send him one BNB, he'll get one BNB. But if I send him an Ethereum from Binance, exchange wallet to his MetaMask wallet, the gas fees on that is pretty much not going to want you to send the funds. You probably this is what I would do. I would probably ask him, like, dude, get yourself a trust wallet. Let me send it to you. Let me send the funds to you over there. It's not going to cost me anything. You'll get, and plus it's more secure and it's faster. So depending on where you want to publish your NFTs, they might be for various purposes regarding property, IPRS, it would make sense to, have the token for the particular blockchain that you're publishing on. There's some operational efficiencies in doing that. Again, a lot of websites connect with your wallets because wallets have excellent KYC, particularly the exchange wallet. So identification is something that my earlier wallet was giving me because my driver's license was there. But now if I have a Binance account, any trader, any service that I'm using, because they know that I've gone with a Binance account, it's very difficult to get a KYC on these kind of things. So if you've got it, that means you've verified, you're an actual person. So the safety issue is there. The identification is there. They won't get my name, but they'll be rest assured that I'm not like, a nasty entity or something like that. Similarly, with your digital wallets, you can store NFTs in. You can have a Bored Ape Yacht Club or the new DC Bad Cows. These things replace your American Diners Club cards because this is exactly what community access and rewards is. If I'm a club owner, if I have like, my high-end club in Delhi or London or New York, wherever, I could incentivize Bored Ape Yacht Club owners to come to my venue. Like I can give them free entry. Why? Because I know a Bored Ape Yacht Club today costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So anyone who owns a BYAC can definitely utilize the kind of services that the club's providing. So if I give him free entry, he comes inside, he spends, a bucket load of money. This is exactly what community access and rewards are. So with the DC Bad Cows, recently DC Comics, the comic book company from the States, these guys issued, I think, close to 200,000 bat masks, like, computer generated bat masks as NFTs. Each NFT was going for $300. Now, if I were to buy one of these NFTs in the future, when DC releases movies, event tickets, new comics, merchandise, as a holder of the DC Bad Cow, I would get preference in, accessing those services. So there was a huge demand for this. People, went nuts. Obviously, the super fans, they would go for something like this. And once other people see how, the kind of rewards that these people get, the value of the NFT that they're holding goes up. If they bought it for 300, then maybe, 100,000 people bought it for 300. Now, all of a sudden, 1 million people want these DC Bad Cows. So, but they're no more NFTs. So whatever you're holding actually goes up. And finally, we get to, old receipts and random papers. You you'd never need to, have these kind of things because any transaction that you do using crypto is stored on chain. So, I mean, you could just go to the Explorer wherever your wallet is from. If your wallet's on MetaMask, you can go to ETH Explorer and you can see all the transactions that you've ever done. So in case you do want to hold on to these kind of things, like you hold on to these papers and receipts, you no longer have to do that because it's already been provided. So this is something that people ask me, are we late to the party? Like, should we buy some crypto now, this and that? I mean, this is not the way you should be looking at it. Honestly speaking, get a wallet and you're ready. I mean, tomorrow, if for any goods and services that you have, you can start charging in crypto and bam, you can store it. And once you can store it, you can spend it. So it's not like you need to invest in it. I mean, you can start accepting it. Somebody along the way is going to give it to you. So this is one way that I tell a lot of people to enter the ecosystem. You don't necessarily have to go out to exchanges, do KYC, buy all this kind of stuff. Just open a wallet and sell your services, sell your goods, sell your products. That's one of the great ways to do this. This is an old stats. This is the main thing. So the number of blockchain wallets has severely gone up. This was initially a factor of the major bull runs that was attracting a lot of people, but now the entire community of creators, filmmakers, artists, they all realize that NFTs are not going away. Currently, even though there's a lull in the market, NFTs have gone down. But if you look closely, most of the NFTs that are doing well right now, they actually have use cases. So the Bat Cowl NFT that I spoke about earlier, over here, these Bat Cowl NFTs, these have a use case. So they're not going away. Unlike, the other ones that are just a series and those visual images and JPEGs and all that. So the number of wallets, it's going to go up. It's going to go up like drastically. And again, this is another version of the same graph. You can see the steep curve of this line. Now, as we would go up, as we go further, this you can expect to go way higher because, mind you, a single person can have 5, 10 to 15 wallets. So you can see some crazy things happening in this particular graph as we head towards 2025 in the next Bitcoin halving. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. So now let's just have a look at the questions. How do we perform a transaction with a hardware wallet? So, I mean, it depends on what kind of a hardware wallet you have, what kind of a software that you got with the wallet. Sending and receiving is the basic function that you can do with any wallet. If you have a Ledger Nano S, or if you have one of these other ones, Trezor, there are a bunch of them, there are enough videos on YouTube, explainer videos from influencers, from the company itself, from third parties, a lot of people on Reddit providing help, but don't trust people on Reddit. So there are lots of sources of information, and I urge you, depending on when you're getting the wallet, because the photographs that you saw were sourced earlier, so these wallets might be 2 or 3 years old. So currently, the level and the security provided by the current generation of wallets out in the market is something that you'll actually have to explore before you buy. So what if I keep some cryptocurrency in the wallet and the currency goes down? In that case, we will be in loss, right? This is, I'm going to be holding Bitcoin and bought it at 65,000 or 40,000 or 50,000, and right now it's under 30,000. So, I mean, if you convert it back into fiat, it's a loss. But if you don't convert it into fiat, if you just leave it there, you can choose to spend it, you can choose to do a lot of things with it, but essentially you won't book that loss unless you put it back to fiat. I am almost a maximalist. I actually believe in Bitcoin. I think the price is going, the price actions, I feel it might go high, but that's a personal choice that I made. I've studied a lot of other factors. I feel it might go up, and most of my reactive thinking and actions are based on that particular fact. So blockchain analytics is actually a thing. If you go to blockchain.com, /charts, you can see numerous blockchain.com/charts. You can see a number of statistics, and you can go back to all time, 4 years, 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever as far as back as you can go. Check these statistics out. So the number of wallets, number of transactions, volume of transactions, all these kinds of data sets are available on these particular websites. And again, you throw in these keywords in Google, and 4 or 5 other sites might show up. They might be getting the data from the same source, but essentially it's very easy to check for these things. You mentioned wallet-to-wallet transfer and gave example that if you send Binance wallet to another Binance wallet, there's no fees and the transaction achieved. Does that mean there are no actual blockchain transactions and it's just a record update in central database? Ultimately, all transactions, whether they're banking, whether they're into wallet, is updating a database. So, yeah, man, it's if it's on the same network, obviously it's much easier to settle than as opposed to if it leaves the network. If it's leaving the network, then there are lots of other things that you have to concern yourself with, like conversion fee into a different asset. So bang, that's where you lose your first amount. Then energy requirements, jurisdictions, regulations, lots of other things that you got to also look at. So essentially, to keep things simple, I mean, if you send from the same blockchain to the same blockchain various digital assets, that's the best way to go about it. I mean, if you're sitting somewhere in South Africa, you've got kids, they're studying abroad, they're studying in a different country, it's essential that you guys are on the same, blockchain. You're both on Binance, you're both on Tron. I'd love to say Ethereum, but the gas fees on that network is pretty high. It's almost like, I was reading the other day, it's like Ethereum's meant just for, as a luxury item now. But getting back, yeah, it'll be better that, if you people are on the same blockchain, same sort of wallet. So at least if you're sharing the native token, if you're on the Binance blockchain and he's got a Trust wallet, you've got a Trust wallet, and you're sending BNB or BUSD or any of the BEP20 tokens, you're not paying fees. But if you're sending any of the ERC71, ERC20, any of the Ethereum tokens, like a Shiba Inu or ETH itself or Doge on Mars, or any of these coins between a trust to trust, you will lose a substantial amount. But if you send the same amount of Shiba Inu from a MetaMask to a MetaMask compared to a trust, you lose less in the Binance one compared to the Ethereum. So this is something that people need to understand. If they keep assets on MetaMask, that's on Ethereum, so the gas fees is high, irrespective of whatever assets you're moving there, compared to a Binance chain or a Tron chain or Stellar or any one of these. So, yeah. So this is an interesting question. What is the role of software engineers in blockchain? Is it providing the security or designing the wallet? I need to select an elective. So, I mean, buddy, you got to do some research on this, and hopefully that's going to help you out. But I mean, it depends where you want to apply yourself, what you've learned, what coding languages. I'm not actually from the development side. I'm more on the transactional execution side. So I do understand a lot of the devs, terminologies, what they're trying to do, but essentially something like this, I don't think so I can give you the answer for. I think that's the end of it, guys. I'm going to introduce my dear colleague, Anshika. She's a subject matter expert for blockchains that we have on board. She's going to start off with her session now. Just give me a sec.
Thank you, Rohan, for this deep session. And hello, everyone.
I've just made you the host, Anshika.
All right. Thank you, Rohan. Let me share my screen.
Yes.
So is it visible?
Yes.
All right. So, okay. So as Rohan has already illustrated a lot about wallets, let's talk something related to transactions now. So basically, when we talk about transactions in blockchain technology, it's a huge topic. But we'll try to cover most of the aspects, important aspects in terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum when it comes to blockchain. So before we talk about blockchain technology, let's talk about what exactly is transaction in layman language. So basically a transaction is a completed agreement between a buyer and a seller to exchange goods, services, or financial assets in return for money. So now coming to blockchain technology, it is argued that blockchain will disrupt the way we write contracts and execute transactions and everything. Because blockchain is claiming to be one of the greatest technology that will change the entire world. So basically, now when we talk about the transactions, so keeping record of transactions is a core function for all the businesses. Currently, transactions can be executed immediately, but settlement can take anywhere from several hours to several days. As we all know, transactions have become very common in today's world. But when it comes to immediately transferring of the things, yes, in the traditional thing, when it comes to traditional matters, yes, obviously it is taking several hours and even several days, depending upon the location, basically at what time you are sending and at what location you want to send your transactions to. So, but when it comes to blockchain, on the blockchain, the process of transaction verification and recording is immediate and permanent. So basically the major difference between the general transactions and the blockchain transactions are in terms of the speed. So basically when transactions are executed on blockchain network, they are immediate and they are permanent. The ledger is distributed across several nodes, meaning data is replicated and stored across various computers across the system. When a transaction is recorded in the blockchain, details of the transaction, every detail of the transaction basically, such as asset, price, ownership, addresses, all are recorded, verified, and settled within seconds across all nodes. Just wait. So sorry guys, I actually forgot to on my camera. So basically, when we talk about the transactions, if we talk about, for example, two parties want to, one party wants, for example, anyone wants to buy a car. So when they are doing so, they are involved in some type of, they are involved in some type of agreements. There are so many paperwork and everything is there, and they are accountable for so many things that they are responsible for. But when things comes to blockchain transactions, everything is recorded, verified, and settled within seconds across all the nodes. A verified change registered on one ledger is also simultaneously registered on all the copies. Since each transaction is blockchain is transparently and permanently across all the ledgers, there is no need for third-party verification. And this is one of the major reasons why blockchain transactions are becoming very popular. This is because there are no third-party agreements. There are no third parties, dependencies, and verification process involved as compared to traditional transactions. So now coming to this particular blockchain transaction life cycle that we have. Now let's dive deeper and understand how blockchain basically transaction cycle works. So basically let's understand how a transaction gets into a blockchain. which is one of the most crucial thing before we understand blockchain transactions in detail. So basically, initially someone, as we can see in the diagram here, initially someone requests a transaction via something obviously called a wallet, digital wallet. So now after this, transaction is sent, or we can say it is broadcasted to all the participating computers in the specific blockchain network. This is the second step. After someone requests a transaction, that particular transaction is broadcasted to all. As you can see, there are small boxes. So these basically small boxes represents nothing but the computer nodes, you can say. Now, once a transaction is broadcasted to all the computers, now every computer in the network that are involved checks for that particular transaction, or we can say in blockchain language, basically we check the transaction is validated by all the participating parties. Now, once the transaction is validated, the transactions are combined to form a data block. In blockchain, everything takes place, you can say, in the form of a block itself. So if when miners verify the transaction, and if it is verified, the transaction is combined to form a data block. Now, in the next step, this block basically becomes the part of the blockchain that was already existing. So now the just one, we have shown it with the help of this particular thing, black one, that indicates that the transaction that was being verified by a transaction is added to the blockchain now, and it becomes the part of the existing blockchain. So here basically you can see a lock here. So basically this is not any physical lock because we are dealing with the blockchain. So this block is basically you can say a cryptographic algorithms and hash algorithms that are involved in blockchain for securing the keys and securing the transaction values. Finally, when this block is added to the existing blockchain, the transaction is said to be complete. So we can say that in this way, this is basically we have just tried to summarize this a long process in a very layman language so that everyone can understand basically how blockchain works. So this is the way how things work in blockchain. So, but when it comes to blockchain, there are basically two types of transaction models in blockchain. Transactions are basically the transactions in blockchain takes place by two models, and those are UTXO model and account-based model. So in blockchain, transactions are broadcasted to the network, as we already told, and a set of these interactions are recorded permanently with each new block. But here the question arises, why do we have two types of transaction models? Is there any theory behind this? Why we need two transactions model? Is one transaction model not enough to satisfy the needs of transactions that are taking place in blockchain? So what happens is that when the system transactions to a new state, for example, say the initial stage is N, and then and some transaction takes place. So obviously the transaction value changes to something. For example, initially it is N, and when transaction takes place, the value automatically switches to, for example, say N+1. So what happens is when the system transitions to a new state, for example, N+1, the balances of the transacting parties are updated. Obviously, if I am sending you $50, then my $50 will be reduced and you will get $50, right? So in this way, basically the transaction takes place. So, but the way in which the transaction parties transactions are updated depends upon the transaction models. Transaction will occur in any way. That will happen. But the way in which the states are updated, the database is maintained, it's all about that factor. So for that, we have basically two transaction models are taking place in blockchain, and those are two types record keeping transactions. One is UTXO, that is unspent transaction output, and which is employed by obviously by one of the most known cryptocurrency ever, and that is Bitcoin. And the second one is done by Ethereum, which is account or balance model. So let's dive deeper and explain how these two type of models basically works when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So basically, this is the most easier diagram that I could find to understand, to make everyone understand like how these two models can be represented in this manner. So basically, the first, if I talk about these two things, the first notable distinction between the two models is the way their system state is being recorded, as we already mentioned. So the UTXO model records asset movement as a directed acyclic graph, as we can say. So basically, we have UTXO 0, then we have UTXO 1, 2, 3. It is further divided. So basically, this is a directed graph of assets of UTXOs moving between the various nodes. So this is basically the representation to show how UTXO model looks like if we talk about the Bitcoin transactions. Various other cryptocurrencies are also deploying this model, but we are basically focusing here on Bitcoin because it is one of the most known cryptocurrency and people are curious about it. So when we say graphs, basically a graph can be defined as a set of nodes that are connected by edges, as you can see in the diagram itself. In the case of a directed graph, each edge has a direction shown with the arrows here. Darks don't allow circular relationship between nodes. So yes, on the left-hand side, we have UTXO model that represents a dark representation of UTXOs. And here we have account model on the right. So in this manner, on the right-hand side, we have account-based model. In this, the system state is updated with each new block on the basis of transactions that are contained in the block. So as long as the number of users or smart contracts remain constant, the number of accounts remain constant and independent of the number of completed transactions. So basically, if anyone asks me which is the simpler model, obviously I'll say it is account model, because you don't have to keep track of everything, like from where this amount is coming, because you have to backtrack and see what are the other sources that are accounting to this particular UTXO. But when it comes to account model, it is simple. Here we have we have mentioned these states. The states will keep on increasing. The list of accounts that are involved will keep on increasing, and here it will mention the transaction value. So it is simple. But with the help of diagram, it may seem much easier, but it is not actually. So let's deep dive and explain each model in detail to have a better understanding of how these models take place. So UTXOs, let's talk about UTXO model first. So basically UTXOs are like cash. In most layman language, we can say that UTXO resembles just like cash. It means each UTXO can be compared to a bill or a coin. For instance, if you have $50 in cash, there are a number of different combinations you might have. You can have 10 $5 bills, you can have 5 10 bills, you can have a single $50 bills, and there are multiple options, the multiple combinations are available for the same. So in each of these cases, despite having a different number of bills, you will always have exactly $50 with yourself. Now, UTXO behave in the same manner. When you see a single balance in your crypto wallet, this may actually be made up of any number of UTXOs based on your past transaction history. So basically, when it comes to UTXO, Bitcoin follows the same transaction model. So it is the most easy way to get through this is to compare it with a cash. And we say that UTXO model resembles a lot with the cash. So one thing more that resembles UTXO with another thing is that, as we already mentioned these points, the other similarity between UTXO and cash is that it is as UTXOs, as cash is that UTXO cannot be divided. So let's take an example of buying a cup of coffee, which costs like $3.75. Now, if you have $5.10 bills, you must overpay by handling over $10 and receive charge, in this case, 6.25. Because if your coffee is of 3.75 and you have $10 of bill, $10 with you, obviously you don't have option to divide it, right? as we deal with cash. So what you have to do is you just have to hand over your entire money and you have to wait for the charger to give that money to you, right? In this manner, how we deal with the cash. So so basically what will happen here is, in the UTXO model, it works in the same manner. You have to entirely give your UTXO amount to the person and then receive change, just like you would be doing when you are dealing with the cash. Now, here it is important to note, of course, this process is handled by the blockchain protocol. It is not that, because see, if I'm sending you $50 and I want $5 in return, so obviously this takes place manually when we are dealing with two parties. But when it comes to blockchain transactions, the returning process is governed by blockchain. So that is, and this is the reason why blockchain transactions, even UTXO model, is completely secure, because every protocol, everything is totally governed by blockchain itself, and there is no third party involved. And this is the reason why the sender is getting the money back, because blockchain is involved in it. So as such, when you made this transfer, the recipient would receive 3.75 BTC, and the remaining 6.25 in change would be sent back to your address as a new smaller UTXO. Say any UTXO here, depending upon from where you are transacting basically. So we have seen that UTXO model behaves much like a cash, because you cannot tear a note and say, yes, I am passing this value. You cannot divide your money. But what are the ways in which UTXO differs from cash? So while UTXOs as cash analogy is helpful for understanding the basic concept, there are few places in which this breaks down. So first, transaction conducted on a blockchain also require the payment of transaction fees, which are deducted from the amount of change you get in return, unlike when paying in cash. So basically, yes, when you are expecting $5, if you are sending $5 and you are expecting $1, so see, I'll send $5 and someone will give me $1. There is no transaction fee involved when we deal with cash. But yes, when transactions are written on blockchain, there is a transaction fee involved with each single transaction taking place. And secondly, this is one of the difference that makes UTXO model differentiating with the cash. And the second is fiat bills and coins are fixed in value. You cannot get $6.25 as an example as a change when you pay for your coffee. Conversely, UTXOs come in any amount. So yes, it is similar, but we cannot say it is same. It is similar, it is not same actually. So basically, this is a straight transition in the UTXO model. In UTXO, so this diagram may look tough, but it is not. So basically, what we have done is, here we have a UTXO set across block. So here we have 1.5 BTC as Satoshi's address. Here we have 10 BTC as Ali's address, and here we have 1 BTC as Bob's address. Here you can see denotes the unspent money, which is basically what UTXO stands for. So here is a general example where we will try to explain how this transition will take place in blockchain. So see, left hand side is your input. So let's say it is a state N. Now, for example, let's suppose Alice wants to send 8 BTC to Bob. Now, since it is a UTXO model, there will be 2 outputs generated for the same thing. Now, the question arises, why 2 outputs? So basically the answer is, one UTXO is for Bob's address because he is for Alice who is sending 8 BTC to Bob. And the second output is for the Alice address because he will receive $2, right? Here, in simple words, you can say Alice is sending 8 BTC to Bob. So one is for the Alice and the other output is for the Bob. So, but here comes the question, like it is 1.999, you can see. So where is the 0.001 amount gone? Because see, Allies should get in return $2 because he's spending 10, he's sending 10, he's sending 8. So where are the $2? So yes, he's getting 1.999 BTC. And the answer for this is because some amount of fees has been spent as a transaction fees, as we already mentioned. So when we deal with UTXO, there are two outputs generated. One is 8 BTC to Bob, and the second is the return value that Allies is expecting from Bob, right? So this is the way how transaction is taking place. So here you can see the updated transactions as well. This will remain as it is, but yes, here the transactions are updated. And we have 8 BTC in Bob's address and 1.999 BTC in Allies address. So this is the way how straight transactions takes place in UTXO model. I can see so many questions. So yes, let me finish everything. Then we will get back to your questions as well. So this was about the UTXO model. And now coming to account-based model. This is a very chill model, and I basically like this model. And this is the reason because it is as simple as you can imagine. This model represents assets as balances within account, just like bank accounts. Now, since everyone present here are totally aware of how bank accounts, how banking financial transactions are taking place, so this model works just like that. Ethereum blockchain is the perfect example for this type of transaction model. Let's say, for example, you have an account with 5 ETH, that is 5 ethers, and you want to send someone 2.5 ethers. So you must carry out a transaction that transfers that exact amount, after which you will see in your account that you have 2.5 ethers. And this is the way basically how we deal with the bank accounts. Unlike UTXO model, you don't have to spend 5 ethers and receive the difference. Hope now UTXO model will make more sense to you because we have already gained a lot about account-based model. Just like banking transactions, account-based model works just like same. There is no difference involved. If you want to send $10, just straight away send $10. You don't have to break your amount in some ways. If you have $7 and you just want to send $3, just send $3. There are no transactions and dividends required, just like UTXOs. So here we have straight transitions in the account model as well. So similarly, let's see. So basically why I try to convert everything in a diagram is because diagrams are basically more easier to grab. And this way we can get the more clarity how transactions are taking place in Bitcoin as well as in Ethereum. So here, let's take the same example to make a better understanding of how two models distinguish. So basically, let's consider we have Allies wants to send 8 BTC to Bob now. So unlike UTXO, we don't have two outputs here. It is as simple as that. So basically now we have, before we do this, let's say Allies account has 10 BTC, Bob account already has 1 BTC, and contract account has 3 BTC. Now Allies wishes to send 8 BTC to Bob. Now what will happen is from Allies address, 8 BTC will be sent to Bob's address. So now Allies address will be 2 BTC. Bob's address will be 9 BTC. Why 9? Because Bob already had 1 BTC in his account, right? So here the values are incrementing simultaneously. So if Bob already, since
Imran Kanwar.
All right, thank you. So basically, Allies is sending, when Allies wants to send 8 BTC, so what he will do is, before breaking anything, he'll just send 8 BTC to Bob, and Bob's account will get incremented simultaneously. So here he's getting 9, and it is just because Bob's account already has 1 BTC with him. So this is the manner in which straight transitions in the account model takes place. And this is the way how straight transitions in UTXO model takes place. So we won't go much in the transactions just because it is a very, I already mentioned, I tried to include all the important things here. So here you can also, in the explorer.btc.com, you can have a look how transactions basically takes place. So this is a way, whenever you have time, you can explore how transactions are taking place. So this is basically a transaction. Here I have randomly chosen anything. Here is a transaction hash. And here you will get the entire summary of everything. Here it has one input and we have got two outputs. So basically this is how Bitcoin transactions deal with. Similarly, you can have a look at the transactions, that how Ethereum transactions takes place. So you can see a lot of queries now because I was busy in taking sessions, so it was missed. All right. If in case something is unexplained, sure, you can, we can get back to you in detail because time is running out, as I can see. So basically, yes, I can see so many comments that says, yes, I'm correct. However, it differs from blockchain to blockchain, yes. So basically, one of the questions that I basically face is also in terms of transaction fees. So yes, when it comes to Bitcoin, transaction fees is different. When it comes to Ethereum, transaction fees is different. And sometimes if you have heard, the transaction fees in Ethereum earlier, it was very high. So one of the reasons for high transaction fees is basically depends upon the network usage. Since everyone is now moving to Ethereum because of its so many advantages, yes. Whenever the network is more busy, obviously transaction fees will be more. So yes, there are so many reasons for this.
And I just want to add to this point, this gas fee is not a bad thing.
Exactly.
Sometimes it can cost you to make a transaction, but it's not a bad thing. Like what happens in Solana is because, micro transactions is cheaper. So people are able to, bid on their own NFTs and, do wash trading and lots of other nasty things. But if gas fees is high, then you don't do these kind of transactions. So there is a good side to these fees being high as well.
Right. Transaction fees are obviously never a bad idea. It is a good thing. And since so many things are blockchain providing, so obviously it makes sense.
Yeah. There was a great talk from Michael Saylor, I remember, where he was talking about, law of conservation of energy. It does not apply in cyberspace. But this gas fees is literally getting that law of conservation of energy into cyberspace.
Yeah, so I can see a comment from someone, Roman, saying that they don't agree and it has to improvise. Obviously, we are not saying that, yes, transaction fees makes, they are very valid. No, we are just mentioning that whenever a transaction is taking place, it will take some amount of money from yourself. But yes, it has to be improvised. And that is the reason Ethereum has already made a huge transaction, because earlier, if we talk about 2 years earlier data, transaction fees in Ethereum was very high. Now it is becoming less. So it depends upon the improvements that are taking place.
See, as far as these improvements go, to at any point in time, improving is definitely something there is always space for. But to exactly get into this, like if you've got artworks on OpenSeas, and you're trying to bid on your own artwork using Ethereum, that's going to be a costly affair for you. You're not going to be able to do that and pump up your assets. But if it's on Solana, I can have 100 different accounts bidding and making these transactions, and to an external person, it might be looking like this guy is selling a lot of artworks because so many people are buying it, but The fact of the matter is I'm buying it for myself. So Ethereum, that gas fees is, disincentivizing me from doing something like that. This is where I feel gas fees is a great concept. If you're making a $10 million transaction and you want to get it instantly done, you say, fine, I'm giving 500 as my gas fees, and instantly one of these guys will pick it up and execute your transaction. So if your transaction's worth more to you, you can get it done quickly. But if I'm making a transaction for like $20, $30, I'll put like a cheap gas fee and leave it. Maybe it executes in 2 days or 3 days. It doesn't matter to me. So there are good sides and bad sides of literally all of this. But essentially, I'd want you guys to understand that, the network fees it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, actually, since transaction itself is so long, so I thought to put the main things in the PPT and let's it is so
essentially wide, it makes you think about a couple of things, and that law of conservation of energy is something that needs to be applied to this virtual space as well.
Right. Completely agree. Hope everyone enjoyed the session. If any query is unanswered, maybe because we have left something or some. If any queries are left unanswered, please feel reach out to us. We will be there.
And guys, we have a LinkedIn, we have a Discord. You guys can connect with us literally anywhere. Drop a comment, and me, Anshika, a host of other people from our organization, they're there. They can answer your queries. It's not a problem.
Definitely.
Anyways, guys, thanks a lot. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday. And hopefully we'll catch you again at the end of next month. This is a series that we've started, and hopefully every month we'll pick out some interesting topics and have conversations around them.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, I'm going to be logging in. Okay. Thank you.